are good? Okay, I am calling to order tonight's meeting, January 23rd, 2024. Ms. Laura, can we please do a roll call, please?
Sure. Member Cianciolo? Present. Member Johnny?
Present.
Member Core?
Present.
Member Lamb?
Here.
Member Pretty? I'm here. Member Quilty?
Here.
And Member Roscoe?
Here.
Do we have any comments on closed session agenda items?
No, just that I would like to pull item 4D from the agenda for tonight.
Perfect, so go ahead and pull item 4D, and then we'll go ahead and recess to closed session.
Yours is closed. Their item must be closed. Prior to close?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry about that.
I don't you filled it out right.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, do you want to go ahead and read the statement?
So items not appearing on the agenda, notice to the public, the Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54954.2, provides that no action or discussion shall be taken on any item unless it is adequately described in the timely posted agenda. Accordingly, though the public may comment on matters within the board's jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda, the board cannot respond to such comments without running the risk of deliberating or initiating discussion on topics not properly before the board. Given the prohibitions set forth in the Brown Act and the risk associated with responding to public comments, the board does not respond to the community's questions or comments. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or that violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful infraction of board meetings.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and recognize Michael Weskin.
All right. Good evening, members of the board. Ooh, this is interesting. And the cabinet. So normally I'm a little less nervous when I don't have something to read from, but I'm still nervous because it's a new year and all that stuff. But right now we're handing out some things. And once they get to you, I want to draw your attention to this one first.
Sorry, Shelley. That's all right, thank you. Is it all line? All this? Yeah, that was okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so what's in front of you is some data from 5 major categories of the budget. That's this the staple or paperclip thing. But again, I want to draw your attention first to this. And on this paper, I've kind of graphed up something that we brought to your attention last year. The district has a history of over budgeting and then having a large sum left over in these major categories. So in 2020, 2021, you see it was $10 million. The following year, it was $18 million. We kind of said, hey, it's probably going to be big this time. And once again, it was, and it grew even more. It was almost $22 million was the excess in these major categories. Now, that's the history, and then showing where we were at for last year. But then if you look, so that's this, and now we don't need to look at that anymore. Now, if you look at these packets of the different subjects, so it's materials and supplies, travel and conference, professional and consulting services, buildings and improvements, and the last one is equipment. If you look at the budget for this year, already in most of these categories it was higher than the last few years. But then if you look at now the first interim, it has grown substantially in most of these categories. So I just want to call attention to this, call attention to the budget in general, and you know, it's okay if we're budgeting for things that we're going to use and to spend, but if we're just budgeting to budget and then it goes away, basically I don't really want to see another year where the difference grows even larger again. So,
Thank you. There are no more comments from the public on items that are not on the agenda. So we're gonna go ahead and recess to closed session. All right, we're gonna go ahead and recall to open session. Can we go ahead and stand for the pledge of allegiance? Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any requests for agenda reorganization? No? There is one report from closed session. The board voted unanimously to reject the claim and to give the claimant notice of the denial. And we'll go ahead and start off with student reports.
Good evening to the school board and audience. River Valley has been pretty busy these last 2 weeks and they've flown by pretty quick. All of our students are now in their new classes for the spring semester and the school is continuing like normal even though we just started in our new classes. Last week we had our club rush for the spring semester where students were able to join new clubs. That's a really integral part of our school culture and clubs were able to come out and promote. Last night was our Honker season basketball game where freshmen and varsity basketball boys won against YC. It was a really fun and exciting game for our Falcon Freaks. Tomorrow is our wrestling senior night where River Valley will be competing with YC at 6 p.m. in the main gym. Also, I wanted to congratulate one of our students, Michael Williams, a junior, for his acceptance into the California Band Directors Association, which is all-state honors band. We're really proud of him. And next week is our homecoming week. Our ASB is very busy planning out the events and the activities. Our homecoming dance is next Saturday, February 3rd. And I'll let you all know how that goes next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members and audience. These few weeks have been very busy for YC. So far, we've had many basketball games and soccer games. Our boys and girls have been working really hard this season. Same with our wrestlers. They've been doing really good at the tournaments. 2 weekends ago, our varsity boys wrestled at the Tim Brown Memorial Tournament. This is one of the largest boys tournament in NorCal, and they did incredible. Honkers have been working very hard this season, and our Honker athletes have already been prepping for the spring sports season with conditioning and just being ready for it. In February, we're having our first dance of 2024. We're having a Valentine's Day dance, and it is called Sadie's Sweethearts, which is kind of a twist on the classic Sadie Hawkins dance. Moving on, we're getting ready for prom and starting to plan for it. And we're going to be planning for a YC pop-up thrift shop at our school where students will be able to donate their own clothes and shop for clothes for free. We're excited for the weeks to come, and I want to invite you guys all to the next YC or the boys basketball game on February 9th. JV's at 4:30. JV's at 6:15. My apologies. Freshmen at 4:30, and then varsity's at 7. Thank you all, and I hope you enjoy your night.
Well, I had a comment for RV. Pay attention to their theme for homecoming. It is the most creative theme I've ever seen at a school for homecoming. Just check it out. It's very cool.
Awesome. It's interesting.
No, it's awesome.
Awesome. So we'll move on to 9A, student recognition, Capital Valley Conference Fall Champions. Staff report.
Thank you. So we have tonight our, fall. Thank you. I'm seeing what season we're in. The fall athletes from both River Valley High School and Yuba City High School. We have athletic director Phil McCauley here representing River Valley and Sergio Torres representing YC. And so they will introduce the coaches who always like to come up and introduce any student athletes we have in the audience. So, bravo.
So first we're going to recognize cross country ladies. Come on up. So what I'm going to have, Coach Boyle unfortunately can't be here tonight. He has first aid training for track and field coming up, so always working. Coach Boyle, for those of you who don't know, is an RV alum, graduated, I want to say, in 2013, went on to Cal Poly and competed there in cross country, and actually qualified to the qualifying round of the Olympic marathon trials, which he will go competing in 2 weeks in Florida to represent the United States, maybe in the marathon and the Olympics here this summer in France. So amazing person, amazing athlete, and he's kind of helped these young ladies along the way. So what I'm going to have these ladies do first is introduce themselves, what grade they're in, and what their PR was this year. So, April, since you're first, go right ahead. Here, step on up.
My name is April. I'm a junior at River Valley High School, and my PR this season was 1831 in the 5K.
My name's Autumn Barnes, and my PR this year for the 5K was in 1908.
My name is Emma Tiara. I'm a junior, and my PR was 1810 in the 5K.
My name's Olivia. I'm a sophomore, and my PR was 1820.
My name is Bella Rose. I'm a sophomore. My PR was 2015.
So notice one thing, none of them are seniors. So they're all going to be back next year and ready to go and compete in our new league. But Coach Boyle had a couple things to say. So Saturday, November 11th, sure was a special day for River Valley Cross Country, as the varsity girls became the first ever team in school history, in any sport for that matter, as a team, or Yuba City, to send a full team to the state cross country. Coming into this meet, River Valley came in 5th from the week prior at the subsections, one spot away from the final spot of the state. The D2 varsity girls is known to be the toughest division in the Sac Joaquin section, and for that reason it is granted 4 slots to the state championship held at Woodward Park in Fresno. The varsity girls need to come in together as a unit in order to advance. They were 7 points behind Vacaville into subsections. Cross country is and running is a beautiful sport in that no coach determines your playing time. There are no timeouts or halves to be adjusted, and it's on you and your opponents running your heart from start to finish. Top 3 did their job and placed 3 in the top 20, and we knew it would come down to our last 2 scores. For those unfamiliar with cross-country scoring, how scoring works is the goal, it's a score of the 5, you take the 5 lowest placers, and 6th and 7th don't count towards the team score. And then going on to the state meet, the varsity girls showed up at the CIF state meet focused on and ready to perform. Nevaeh led the charge for the team with a strong last mile, moving up 22 places and finished 55th out of 196 with a time of 19:11, which was a major improvement from her last year's performance at the state meet, which Nevaeh qualified as a single athlete as a freshman. So she's gone to the state meet both years that she's been at River Valley. And then with a time of 19:15, quickly followed by April in 84th with 19:32, Autumn 151 with a time of 20, and Bella finished 174 with a time of 21. And then, Emma was 60th overall with a time of 19:15. And so, like I said, we're super excited for all these girls to come back. Like I said, they're all sophomores and juniors. And so the sky's the limit in the next couple of years for these young ladies. So we thank you for your time, and congratulations.
April, congratulations. Let's make this as long as possible. Autumn, there you are. Emma. There. Vivian, sorry. I put them in order of what you were standing, and now you're me out. Bella. Do you want a picture, Laura?
I want a picture of all of you. And can you congratulate you for all you have
No. It's all good. I am not a runner these days, so.
Picture is good behind her.
Sure, I will take that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you much.
Oh, come on.
Come on, girls, come on out. Help me out here. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't run. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
All right, and I'll let Coach Ramirez come up.
All right, well, thank you for having me come here to talk about, well, I see her name already up there. Last time it took me a long time to bring her up here, so I'm going to bring her up here right now. So have my daughter come up here, Valeria Ramirez, come up. So this is Valeria. She's my daughter who been playing tennis with me since she was 7 years old. I think we were here last year as well, so it was really exciting. But this year, besides the CBC singles champion, she did a lot of accomplishments. One of the things that she did that this year was her goal was to win be a singles champion for CBC. Last year she was runner-up. She had an amazing record, 24-4. This year, 23-4. And but she completed that, and it was, to me, it was awesome because she lost to the girl earlier in the year. She probably her worst match. Every time she lost, even she competed at the highest level. Very close matches, but that match, I think she would even tell you that it was probably her worst match this year. But she came back in the finals and played that young lady, and she made her cry at the end, but it wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't want to say it that way, but so here's one thing, and I brought that up just to let you know a little bit about Valeria and how I see her mature and how her character. There's a lot of tennis girls out there, tennis guys. I coach the boys tennis, but when they start losing, they start throwing rackets, they start swearing, they start losing it, and everything falls apart. And tennis is a lot of mental game. It's not just you're good at tennis, but you have to have a good head, and she does. So when she's down, she's losing, she'll just relax and start going over her emotions, and but she just in control. And win or lose, when she comes off the court, you can't tell whether she lost. She just has the same attitude, and she's very humble. Helps out her team a lot, and so she's just, I can go on and on about her, and I want to thank Doreen, who actually had an opportunity to see her play at the section. She made sections again, and unfortunately she didn't win, but she gave her best, and she's a sophomore, so she's compiled a 47-8 record in 2 years, so she's just, like these young ladies are coming back in track. It's great to see River Valley students go far, and I'm hoping that she continues her success in tennis. But she's just simply awesome to me. As a dad and as a coach, it's just great to see. But besides, I don't want to end on that. Maybe she can say a couple words. Don't put her on the spot a little bit. But real quick, besides Valeria being successful, River Valley girls tennis, and I was hoping Miss Tiara, Emma's sister, who's a senior, also helped the team make it to the playoffs our first year in about 4 or 5 years. So that was awesome too. So I'm very proud of the girls. They're not here, but we worked hard this year.
And then I'll add to that too. Our tennis league is highly competitive.
Yeah.
Only 3 out of the 7 go to the playoffs. Wood Creek actually was the Division II section champion, and Roseville was the Division III section champion.
That's right.
So for us to qualify for the playoffs and lose to West Park in the first round 6-3 is an accomplishment for us because of that league being so highly competitive. So
yeah, thank you. And then I'll let Valeria.
I don't really know what to say, but I'm glad I reached my goal this year.
Congratulations. Very good.
Thank you for representing us so well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
That's it, yes, you all? Yes, so now it's Yuba City, so I'm gonna invite Assistant Principal Sergio Torres to recognize the YCHS student athletes.
Good evening, members of the board and audience. We're here also with Mr. Coach Burns. So we'd like to recognize our athletes. We have extensive list of mostly all seniors. Pete Ittenburn is our only sophomore this year, so we'll be having those students moving on. We're very proud. Coach Burns worked very hard with the students these years, so share some.
Just like to say thank you to the board and everyone for having us. I'm very proud of this group of young men. This year, not only did these young men give everything they had through an injury-plagued season, they still produced, they still fought hard, and everybody knew who we were, and nobody really wanted to face us. But again, and the thing I'm most proud of these young men is that they're not only athletes, they were students. I can say that during the season, during their season, we've had the highest GPA we've had in a long time. Collectively 3.2 for the football team. So these guys work hard on and off the court, and again, you represented very, very well. Thank you very much. Yes.
Here's certificates for the boys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank
That's something to write about. Thank you very much. They did.
Okay, so our girls volleyball want to recognize senior Olivia Lewis and also senior Maddie Gonzalez, who were CDC All-Conference this year. Both of them will be moving on. We have Chloe Gonzalez, who is a sophomore, who's on the varsity team. They played very well this year, and we're proud of our students. So we'll be recognizing, they're not here today, but we'll be recognizing them this evening, and we'll be sharing them with our students. Next up, we have our cross-country team. So we have Mr. Busby. Come up with our students. Joseph. So they placed third in our freshman section championship meet, and we had 5 students that attended that meet, and they did a wonderful job. So we know Mr. Busby and students, we recognize them.
I just want to say a few words and then I'll let them take over. These kids are all freshmen. They started Yuba City High School, and after about 3 months, they had already qualified for the section meet in cross country as freshmen. When some freshmen, after 2 or 3 years, are still trying to figure it out, right? But the important thing about these kids is they work hard. They got a work ethic that won't quit. They're all excellent students. And the one thing we got besides just 5 freshman boys here is we got a lot of parent backing this year. The parents were incredible. However, the one thing I got this year was an assistant coach, Mr. Jessup, and he was wonderful. In fact, he's more of a head coach than I am, I think. So the point being is these kids received excellent coaching, but if it wasn't for their hard work and the parent backing, they wouldn't have accomplished what they accomplished. that's third place in the Sac-Locaine section, which will beat most states in the union. That's how competitive Sac-Locaine section is. But the freshman division, they were third place. They were third place at the subsections and also third place at the sections. To give you an idea just quickly about how fast these kids are running, they're at about 5:20 pace for 5K for freshman boys on cross-country courses. So boys, come on up and introduce yourself and say one good thing or two good things about cross-country that you had this year. You're a leader there. You can do it. You're there. You're there.
Christopher Kamalinga. One good thing I learned from cross country is to have a strong mindset from going on after cross country.
Samuel Penn, one good thing I learned was that no matter how hard you try, you can always get better.
Joseph Martinez Camano, and one thing that I learned over this year is that no matter how slow or fast you are, you're still going to improve yourself over the season.
Well done, gentlemen.
Ready?
So move on to number 11, comments from the public on items not on the agenda. I'll have from the speakers. We have 2 items for 2 speakers.
Okay, so items posted on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the board shall entertain comments on any items appearing on the posted agenda. As the board discusses agenda items, audience participation is permitted. Generally, the president will ask board members for their remarks before recognizing the host to speak from the audience. At the president's discretion, agenda items may be considered in other than numerical order. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or that violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings, as well as items not on the agenda. The Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54954.2, provides that no action or discussion shall be taken on any item unless it is adequately described in a timely posted agenda. Accordingly, though the public may comment on matters within the board's jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda, the board cannot respond to such comments without running the risk of deliberating or initiating discussion on topics not properly before the board. Given the prohibition set forth in the Brown Act and the risk associated with responding to public comments, the board does not respond to the community's questions or comments. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or that violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings.
Okay, before we get into 2 comments, if anyone would like to excuse themselves, they're more than welcome. So we're going to go ahead and continue with the rest of the agenda. Perfect. So the first speaker that I have is Rob McBain.
Why you guys call me first?
Thank you, board. My name is Rob McBain. I am the head baseball coach at River Valley High School. We have been
trying for several years or discussing for several years, trying to get lights put on our field. We feel we're somewhat at a disadvantage to the school right down the street, as that I drove by tonight and their lights are on their baseball field, on one of their fields anyways. When we start practice late January, it's dark by 5 o'clock. We have nowhere to practice to continue our practices. We feel that's a disadvantage to us and the kids. I realize this is a very expensive endeavor. You guys all have packets in front of you with a couple bids or estimates on what it would cost and how we would go about doing this. These are obviously up for debate. We can, get other bids if that would be necessary. I just feel this would be very beneficial to our students. Obviously, later start times would help our parents get there to watch their kids play, and also the kids can stay in school. At least the older ones can stay in school a little bit longer. They don't have to get out of school 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock to get to games and get these things started when we start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, once we get that daylight savings time. I thank you for even listening to us about this. With the state of our union right now, with the budgets and everything that's coming down, I'm not sure where we're going to be, but at least we've got the conversation going, and I really appreciate that, and I think our students would appreciate that as well. I think it's time, when previous boards have promised, and we've been kind of put on the back burner because of money, and I understand that, but also the longer we wait to do this, the more it's going to cost in the future. So I really would appreciate the consideration for the staff. Thank you.
Bill McCollum?
Good evening, members of the board, cabinet. My name is Phil McCollum, Athletic Director of River Valley High School. I've been a teacher there since 2011 and Athletic Director since 2012. We've done a lot during that time to help improve our school and bring about school culture. During my time, we've installed scoreboards on both the varsity softball and baseball fields because those weren't there when the school was originally built. And during that time, we've had several assistant superintendents of business that have somewhat promised us that lights would come in the future. Those have not come to fruition, and like Coach McBain said, costs are only going to go up as the future goes on. It's a one-time investment. Those lights, especially with those steel poles now, they'll stay up before or after I'm no longer here. Yuba City High School has had those lights. My parents were both teachers at Yuba City High School. My dad started there in the late 60s, and lights were put up in the early 70s with wooden poles. When I was attending school there in the late 90s, early 2000s, shortly thereafter, I believe, the varsity poles, there was a huge windstorm, and they started to crack and deteriorate, and the district put in money to put in steel poles. They're currently there, and those lights currently function. Like Coach McBain said, anytime you drive down Beach Street and Clark, you see those lights on, and you see that community being built. Our community is wanting that. And parents have choice in our district because of the school, River Valley being on a block schedule, Yuba City being on a traditional schedule. Well, if I'm a parent and I have a kid that plays baseball, and I want to, especially if I'm a commuter parent, and I don't get back into town until 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, I'm going to send my kid to Yuba City High School because I can go watch them play more often than I can if they're at River Valley High School playing at 3:30 before daylight savings and playing at 4. By the time that I get back to Yuba City, game's over. And so I think just for equity purposes, for purposes of building that school community and school culture, it's time. It's time to get this project done. We've got a lot of one-time monies in the district right now. I understand that, budgets are going to be tight here probably in the next couple of years, but who knows? And like I said, it's a one-time investment. It's not a continual, investment on that, on bringing that project to fruition. So I thank you for your time, and hopefully we can continue this discussion further on. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions, comments? No? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it. Motion by member Roscoe and second by member Pretty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Action items, 13A, audit report for fiscal year 22-23.
So I'll just introduce this. We have an obligation to do an annual audit, and it's mostly related to fiscal items, but also there's a lot of compliance with other things such as instructional minutes and attendance. And so we have, what we'll have the auditor come up and give a little overview of the presentation, but she'll get to this. There are 4 different audit exceptions that are in the back of the book. 2 of them are fiscal and 2 of them are on attendance. And obviously we don't like to have audit findings, but I tell you, this is usually an opportunity for us to get better at what we do. And so that's kind of exactly what we'll do in this scenario. And on those audit findings, after the report's given, I can give a little detail on exactly what happened there. So I'd like to introduce Amanda Capone. She's Senior Associate with Crow LLP, the district's auditors.
Good evening. I'm Amanda Capone. I'm a Senior Associate with Crow. So as explained, we're the independent auditors and we performed the district's audit this year. This year was fairly quiet in regards to new accounting standards. There was only one new implemented standard that did not have an impact on the district's financial statements. Overall, the audit process was very smooth this year. We had no problems with management, and I'd like to express our thanks and appreciation for them kind of taking us on top of their day jobs to provide all the documents necessary for our work. This year, there was one adjustment posted as a result of our audit procedures, which was an entry to record the retro salary expense. There was no issue recording the expense, but the time period where it was captured needed to be adjusted. So as the total amount was financially significant, that had to be recorded. There was one adjustment that was inconsequential overall to the financial statement, so it was not necessary to record, which was for the Cache County fair market value adjustment. This is a fairly obscure accounting standard and was really only surfaced because of the significant fluctuations in the market. And as the adjustment was inconsequential, there was no entry recorded, but we are required to comment on it. I believe you all have a copy of the audit report. So if you'd like to follow along, please go to report page 80, which would be PDF page 87, to see the audit results summarized. As Scott said, we are engaged to perform 4 audits for the district. The first is an audit of the district's financial statements, for which we've issued an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance. In addition, we are also engaged to perform an audit over internal controls over financial reporting. In this case, we did have to identify a material weakness due to the adjustment noted earlier for the retro salary expense. Because the district receives more than $750,000 in federal funding, we're engaged to perform a federal audit. We audited 3 federal programs that you'll see listed below there, and we were able to issue an unmodified opinion. We are also engaged to perform a state compliance audit. We had 2 findings of non-compliance, and therefore we had to qualify the opinion. If you'll keep going down on page 80, there's a description of the payroll finding as it relates to internal controls that I mentioned earlier. And then continuing on to report page 82, which would be PDF page 90, you'll see the state compliance related findings. So this first finding is related to classroom teacher salaries. It's not an uncommon finding. We see this across quite a few districts. And then on the next page down, you'll see the second finding, which just relates to supporting documentation for the before and after school programs. For this finding, there's no fiscal impact. We are just required to report the lack of documentation. So that concludes our presentation, and I'm happy to take questions if you have any of them, or ask Alfred if you have any for him as well.
Okay, if there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to receive the audit as written.
Second.
Motion by member Ciociola and a second by member Pretty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
B, second reading of proposed revisions for YCUSD board policies, administrative regulation for bylaws and exhibits.
Yes, so I bring for second reading and approval the March revisions to our board policies. Some questions or comments?
Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll make a second.
A motion by member Lamb and a second by member Quilty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. C, expulsion, suspended contracts, and readmission fees and recommendations.
I make a motion that we approve as discussed in closed session.
On a motion by member Pretty and a second by member Ciociola. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sorry. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. D, we do have a member of the community that would wish to speak on this item, Elevo Recess Support Contract Edition for the 23-24.
Would you like staff to report on it first and then comments, or how would you like to proceed?
Discussion of the board. Should I hear staff first?
We currently contracted Vivo for our research support program for peer mentorship. We originally contracted with 9 schools, K-8 schools, and we're requesting to add 2 more schools for the spring semester for research support for our students in recess, K-8. For Terrapoint, for YCUSD, and Macon.
So we'll go ahead and recognize Melinda Hawk.
Hi, I'm Melinda Houck. I'm here as a guardian of a 5th grade student at Butte Vista. I don't know a whole lot about the Elevo, there we go, program. They only started a couple of weeks ago at the after-school program. My 5th grade granddaughter used to be quite happy with the after-school program. As a special education teacher, it's really important to me that she's there and doing okay. Last week she started asking me to pick her up early on Wednesdays and Fridays, the 2 days that the program is operating at the after-school program. I haven't quite gotten to the bottom of exactly why she is so upset with the program. I just know that she's an active girl. She's very shy. Somehow it's just not setting with her. I'm hoping she'll get used to it, but I just want you guys to know not everyone, not all the students are real comfortable with the way the program operates. And I would hope that you would somehow talk to the kids, see what the students think after they've been in the program for a while, because some of them are just really having problems. So that's about it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any questions or comments from the board?
What is the feedback that you?
Well, we've been running the after-school program just for 2 weeks, so we haven't significant feedback from the after-school program. For the recess program, it's a very positive feedback. It keeps kids engaged. A lot of kids at recess kind of just wander around and they're not doing much to eat, and they just kind of walk around. This keeps them kind of entertained, but engaged in like athletics and activities and games. So it was kind of a social, emotional component to adding something at once for the students. But at the end of the year, we do evaluate and we will get feedback from the students on how this program's going.
I will say, the comment that you made about the recess and lunch recess, the structured play that takes place, a lot of times you find groups of kids that you'd never see otherwise interacting with each other. Gen Ed, special ed, you get to see them interact and have fun and play. So that's really rewarding, because you normally wouldn't, like you said, you wouldn't see students engaging in that manner. Normally they just kind of stick to their little friend group, right? But when they see activities that are fun, that they want to participate in, it's really awesome to see them come together.
And then this is, the contract we're looking at is for lunch. This is not after school, correct?
It is for lunch.
Okay. I have no other questions, Madam President.
My question is, there's no such thing as a program that's gonna fit every single kid's needs. But does the program itself, do they do any like internal monitoring of like, are they reaching the kids, or is there anything, like do they seek to improve so that if especially if there's like a real introverted kid, do they reach out to them or I mean?
I can check into that more. I just know at the end of the school year, it is part of our LCAP currently. And so part of our new 3-year LCAP, the discussion will be, is this a program we want to continue to implement? And is it really having its intended effect? The biggest part was not the actual part for the recess one, was structured activities for kids who are kind of just wandering around and not really having as much interaction. But like every program, not every program fits every kid.
Right.
So we have to kind of be flexible with that, provide different opportunities for kids.
Right, my concern would be, does this program do some kind of self-reflection? Like if we're not reaching this kid or this type of kid or this group of kids, what are we doing to, maybe amend that or?
Success metrics.
Yeah.
So Shelley, at CSB, I had an opportunity to talk to the company, and they're very open to anything that feedback, anything that we might need. So we have an actual rep who's assigned to our area in our district. So Clark Bryant, who's in charge of the after-school program, can have a conversation. But we do need to, again, it's new, it's 2 weeks in running, but we do want to make sure that it is meeting the needs of our kids.
Right.
So yeah, definitely we can look into that.
Okay, thank you.
There's no other questions. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
And a motion by member Ciola and a second by member Roscoe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We are on B, revised declaration of need.
The district has submitted an application for certificates for hard to fill positions, and we're asking for approval.
It's a revision, correct?
It's a revision.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'm sorry, who made the second? Right, thank you. On a motion by member Ciola and a second by member Quilty, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Board reports, information discussion.
UC Charter School held their first 2024 meeting last Wednesday, the Wednesday before. I got to sit through the same exact presentation we saw here all over again. It was thrilling. The second time, even more thrilling than the first time. They didn't know how to work their projector, and I wear glasses, so I did. So I fixed that for them too. So that was great. Other than that, I don't think I have anything particular to report.
Twin Charter had their first meeting of the year. Their enrollment stays strong. They are on the school K-8 schools to watch, and everything is on up there.
Awesome. Okay. Any community reports? No? Okay. Written communications from the public? I don't think there's any.
Written communication? No.
Comments from employee representatives? Mrs. Jenkins?
Good evening.
Switch shoes.
Yeah,
I spent enough time in those hills today. And it's cold out there, so. Good evening, board members, cabinet, members of the public who may still be out there. I'm Dina Lukens, president of the Yuba City Teachers Association. We appreciate your time this evening as a few members of the YCTA bargaining team came to speak to you tonight before a closed session. As we begin negotiations for the 24-25 school year and for the new contract for YCTA, we recognize, as we always have, the importance of budgets and how budgets reflect our priorities. In times where there's lots of money, it's important that we make very careful decisions about how we spend our money. But in times when money's getting a little tighter, it becomes even more important. And we all know that based on the governor's budget, that there won't be quite as much money coming in as has in the past several years. So as we look at these tighter budget times, we urge all of us to carefully examine our priorities. Our budgets are a reflection of our priorities. We spend money on those things that are most important. We have to keep asking ourselves, are they doing all the things we wanted to do? And is this the best we can do? So we will continue our in-depth analysis of district budget documents. The bargaining team did a deep dive into the budget. You just saw a small glimpse of some of the things they gleaned from that analysis. We urge you to ask questions just as we continue to ask questions. We drafted a preliminary set of questions that we sent to Assistant Soup Scott Bentley and to Laura Espy, because we know that the Financial Services Division of Yuba City Unified can help us better understand the budget documents. So we look forward to that meeting with Assistant Superintendent Scott Bentley and Laura Espy. So thank you very much for that. A couple of highlights I'd like to add tonight. It's the annual retirement deadline coming up March 1st. We expect that there'll be a large number of folks considering that option as they move forward. We're hitting that time period where, if you may remember, several decades ago, we were in class size reduction for the first time, and there was a big hiring boom. Those folks have been around a while, so we may expect a great deal of retirements in the next several years. I'll start to highlight some of those as they come in. I'd also like to highlight for you former students of Yuba City Unified. So today I chose to highlight Cameron Eden, a former Yuba City High School honker, is in the major leagues, the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's returning to Yuba City. Of course, he's not speaking at Yuba City. He's speaking in Sutter High School, but we're glad to see Cameron Eden coming back to town. And Matt Clayton, also a former Yuba City High School honker, has now signed to play with the Minnesota Twins. So not only are we sending our students off to be vice mayors of major cities, we're sending them off to play athletics. We have a full and comprehensive program here at Yuba City Unified, and we should be proud of all of that. So I thank you this evening.
Thank you. Comments from board members?
I have been asked to represent our district as a judge for the Odyssey of the Mind in Sacramento in Natomas High School, and I'm really looking forward to it. You will remember last summer our Odyssey of the Mind champions, they went to World, so we have an incredible team, and I'm really looking forward to seeing and participating in that, and appreciate being invited to do so. I'll let you know how that goes after I come back from Ecuador. If I don't, yes, unless our kids, which would be pathetic. But but I've had a wonderful time working with all of you and everyone listening. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And God bless the United States of America.
Don't touch the hands.
Okay, any other comments? No.
Yes, she is. Let the record show.
Yeah, just a couple things. In front of you, you have a flyer for the Have a Heart for Kids annual run. It's hosted by the Yuba City Education Foundation, and if you will recall, it's been in existence for a while now, a long time. But they fundraise in order to be able to provide funds for our students and families to alleviate any of some of those barriers that might impact a student from being able to access the education. So it is scheduled for February 24th at 8:45. You can participate to walk or run, or often they need course marshals. So it's a fun event, and our schools are very competitive in getting the number of runners who get to participate. So that is always fun. The other thing is, as you walked in, you might have noticed our new hydroponic lettuce device tower. So Chelsea Slattery, our Director of Nutritional Services, brought this to the district and started at Berry and had also one at in the warehouse. The warehouse is a little cold, so it's not doing as well, but also has one, I believe, at Butte Vista. And so we're starting to expand. So it's an educational component for our students to understand how food is grown, and then an alternative way. And then they are also providing the lettuces for our cafeteria. So this was brought to us, and we're going to put it in the staff room, and said, let's put it in the foyer so everyone can see the things that we're doing. So that's pretty exciting, and compliments to Chelsea Slattery and crew for bringing that to our district. And then also we recognize some of our outstanding student athletes, and I want to compliment our coaches, and I wanted to do it at the time and kept moving along. But as you can see, our coaches are mentors to our students, not only on the athletic side, but really are fostering character development in our students, which I really appreciate. And you also see the emphasis on the academic component. So they understand that it has been the desire of the board to coach, but also develop well-rounded young men and women academically, emotionally, to be good citizens. So you'll hear about that, which is something that I'm really proud of our athletic program, because our coaches do a lot, and the parents are also very involved. So you hear that, and you hear the conversation from our coaches. So I just want to put that out there, because I think that sometimes we don't think about that they're not only developing good athletes, but I see them developing good citizens, which give back to our community, which is huge. And our coaches are very talented, but very caring individuals who really care about our student athletes. So thanks to them. And that's it.
Awesome. All right, so our next board meeting is going to be February 27th, 2024. Open session will start at 7 here at the YCUSD district office. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second. Okay. Yeah, motion by member Roscoe and a second by member Pretty. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Okay.